We want to do a sequel for that. We're like, let's do like, I really, really care a lot.
Hey, don't you move!
I swear, my blood pressure was sky high watching this.
Oh, I know, that's how we felt being in the ambulance.
I'm not surprised doing all of that, but Cam is so badass. What's the secret to being this badass?
I find that being vulnerable and wearing your heart on your sleeve is like the actual most tough thing to do as a human being, and therefore makes you really badass. You know, we see it consistently in the most vapid ways, but we see it when like people really, you know, embrace their vulnerability in simple ways. Even like body positive, the way that we approach, you know, body positive and someone posts like cellulite, it's like something that makes us incredibly vulnerable, right? But it's also something that we all admire. She is just incredibly vulnerable, and when it's something that I admired about her. I was like, I wish I could be that vulnerable and strong, and already also has a whole identity of her own and is not like following the guys or being the male gaze to a movie or the love interest.
Absolutely. I wish I could be more Cam. And also, she doesn't get car sick.
She doesn't, you know, I guess EMTs, I mean, it's so cool when you do movies where you start finding out so much about certain things, and I've gotten a chance to do a fair share of stuff, but this one specific, I mean, you're talking about real life heroes, you know, you're talking about real life superheroes, and those ambulances are surprisingly, like, obviously Michael knows all these little details, and you could probably ask him, but they're very fast, and their motors are designed to be very fast because you only have a certain amount of time to take people to the hospitals. So EMTs have to really have a full control of their body, nerves, keep a distance to themselves. Like, it's all things that also inherently I think you have to be born with them. You can learn them, but it's also what distinguishes the difference between a really good EMT and one that can't really control those things in crazy circumstances.
And speaking of Cam's fearlessness, is there a role in your career that you were most nervous about playing?
This one, I think it's a mix of everything, right? If you really think about it, we did this movie at the beginning of last year, which is peak COVID times, pre-vaccination. It's when we were just seeing, sadly, cases over cases after cases after cases of people dying. And we were seeing frontline responders. I have a really good friend of mine, Matthew Heineman, who did this documentary about the first wave in New York City. And when you see what they're doing and their jobs, it just, I mean, it makes my skin it gives me the chills, you know, and it really was daunting. When I opened the script and I read the first 15 pages, I was like, who do I think I am that I can play this role? And I like closed it and I was like, I cannot do this. This is terrifying. What if I fail them? What if I don't live up to what it is? And I was just like, I don't know, man. It's too much to risk in the time that we're living to play a vapid role if I don't nail it. And then I just was faced by the challenge, and that's exciting because I also got to learn a lot. I mean, it was like going to medical school. I was like educating myself for like 3 solid months nonstop.
I mean, the things that you're doing in this is wild. Do you have any irrational fears of your own? Because for Cam, I swear there's nothing.
I think I'm quite like Cam. I'm quite fearless. You know, I was raised by a daredevil. My dad rode motorcycles his entire life. So I started riding motorcycles when I was like 5 years old and 6 years old, and I just started riding, and I was a daredevil. I mean, like, skydive, I bungee jump, I've gone cage diving with sharks. Like, I guess a shark, like encountering a shark directly I would be terrified, but I worked with snakes on From Dusk Till Dawn all the time. I've put tarantulas on my face. Like, I'm not one to get scared. It's very, very hard for me.
Can you please teach me your ways?
I can teach you. You know what it was? I had a bully of a brother when I was very young, and he's 12 years older than me. It was a group of brothers, and they all had younger siblings, and they would lock us in our rooms, or one room, and force us to watch Nightmare Alley, or Freddy Krueger, or Halloween, all these scary movies, and we were truly like 10 years old. So it builds your character when you have older brothers.
What do you want?
Just gonna borrow it.
I got a cop shot. I gotta get him to the hospital.
I'm gonna need you to help us. Why don't you help us?
The heist that Danny orchestrates in this is wild. If you were to pull off a heist with some of your previous characters, who would do what? Who'd be the lookout? Who'd be the driver? Who'd pull it all off?
I only do heist movies. That's all I do. It's really funny. Everyone keeps saying that the consistent subject in my movies is cars, but it's actually heists. I Care a Lot, Baby Driver, Fast and Furious, this movie. I guess I look like a criminal. I have an edge to me, but I don't know. I would say Rosamund Pike. Rosamund Pike is a badass. Like, she's just smart. She's got the smarts, like the brain, she would know how to like take on a whole place, and I would do it. It would be Fran and Marla for sure, and I Care a Lot.
There's two types of people in this world. Predators and prey.
We want to do a sequel for that. We're like, let's do like I Really, Really Care a Lot.
I want the I Care a Lot prequel. There are so many people out there who want it.
Me too.
Do you have an idea of where those characters would be?
Rosamund and I have talked about it a couple of times. Actually, I had dinner with her recently. I was like, we should do it. We should just do it. And she is, again, she's so smart. She had a whole concept, and I was like, honestly, that would be amazing. So who knows? Maybe there's like a I care a lot.
I'm gonna manifest it into existence.
We doing hostages now?
We see how Will has Cam's back throughout everything in this. Is there another actor in the industry who's always had your back and really helped you?
Oh my God, yes, for sure. I've gotten so lucky. There's people that I adore and that I've made really, really good friends with. I mean, one of my closest friends, and is always there for me, and I've cried to him multiple times. I've called him for advice, whether that's an audition or writing or creating, is Taika Waititi. He's like one of my good friends, and I just admire him, and we have a lot of things like that we like in common, and we're such obsessed with graphic novels, and so we sort of nerd out together. But I have a lot of people that have mentored me in this industry. One of them also is Robert Rodriguez, who's like opened the doors and sort of positioned me to succeed. And I've gotten really close to a bunch of the actors that I've worked with, and it's just, you become family, you spend so much time together.
Yeah, it's so lovely, especially people who you've admired throughout your whole life when they actually turn out to be just as lovely as you'd hope them to be.
That's how I felt working with Jake. It was such an inspiration to see someone that I've looked up to my entire life, and he's not so far from my age, right? And it's so crazy that he's like just a few years older than me, and he's just such a badass. He's an utter talent, and I am just so honored to be working with him.
We are trying to save you.
1, 2,
And I love how Danny and Will stick on sailing to help them breathe through the police chase. What are your go-to karaoke songs?
Karaoke. Oh man, I'm just such a show tunes kind of girl. Like, I'm obsessed with Disney, and I listen to, all the Disney songs you could imagine. It's definitely like Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid, or what's the magic carpet ride? A Whole New World. Whole New World, definitely. I'm not one to go like for Beyonce or stuff like that. I feel like that's, I better be really drunk to get there. But I love Alanis Morissette. I love singing in a good Alanis Morissette, or like a sneaky one's like a Nicki Minaj song. Funny, because Jake, Yahya, and I tried to do karaoke the other day in Paris, and we really did not nail it. Like, we actually, we were terrible. And Yahya was pretty bad.
He was the worst.
I'm sorry, Yahya, I love you, but he's just like, didn't know the song. All the leaves are brown and the sky is gray, California dreaming. It's like an easy song, and somehow... No, but we were all pretty bad.
You ruined it.
You ruined it!
But Jake must have been good.
He plays, they both play like they're not good. They're good. Both of them are really good. They're just like, it's cooler to be like, I don't really know this song and I really can't sing. But then, they both could do musicals.
We got a brother cop on board.
Do you have EMT experience?
Combat triage.
You're a soldier.
Yeah.
Will has to lie to his wife about going for a job interview in this. Have you ever lied early on in your career, like to get a job?
Yes, 100%. I had to lie about my age a couple of times because I was literally too young for a couple of roles that I wanted to read for. I've definitely lied that I lived in America when I wasn't living in America to try and get some roles, so that was not smart. Because then you get to a certain level and they're like, can you send us your paperwork? You're like, oh, I'm not actually a resident or have paperwork. But yeah, I definitely have lied for sure.
You've got to.
Who cares? Yeah, exactly. Whatever you learn, you learn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And final question, you're obviously playing an actual hero in this who saves lives for a living. Who have you always looked up to in your career as your own hero? Someone in the industry that you've always admired from a really young age?
It's really hard to say, right? Because you pull inspiration from various different people. And I think that it goes back to my childhood, calling in nature, which is Tim Burton. I always found Tim Burton someone super talented and smart and unique and owned his own style and identity, and he was cool and different and refreshing, and he's kind of an outcast. And I always found his art, doing The Nightmare Before Christmas and then being such an ambitious project and how long it took, and him just always taking challenges like that, I found really cool. And I identified, I'd watch a Tim Burton movie, I was like, that's my dream. That was always my dream. I always looked up to people like him, Baz Luhrmann. I always sort of gravitated towards filmmakers as well quite a lot.
Well, you're absolutely killing it. Thank you so much for talking to me, and huge congrats on this movie.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.